Wednesday afternoon to you. I'm outside enjoying a little bit of the sunshine after we had a crazy hailstorm yesterday with a beautiful rainbow after it. So when I saw the sunshine out, I was like, let's go read outside. So we're going to read today chapter 27 of Remarkable Journey of Prince Jen. And yesterday, Jen felt despair because he looked at his reflection in the puddle and saw himself in the king and how horrible he was looking, how very unprince like he was looking. So let's see what happens today. This chapter is called Two Prosperous Merchants. Fortune changes for the better or for the worse. This dream was different. It was not as marvelous as the others. It kept breaking into bits and disappearing. People he did not know floated in and out. He felt as if he had been wrapped up, unable to move. Sometimes his mouth was opened and things put into it, which he chewed and swallowed instinctively. Most of the time, he drifted through lightless corridors. As always, in his dreams, he wore no wooden collar. That was good, otherwise disappointing. He had hoped for something brighter. He had hoped to meet Voyaging Moon, as he so often did. Eventually, he could see more clearly. Here were two gentlemen, both well dressed. They could have been prosperous merchants. They looked vaguely familiar. One had a round, lumpy face. The other was lean with long, ropey hair. Hey, I remember hearing some characters like that earlier in the story. Who could those be? It took him a while to recognize them. Mafu? Moxa? Jen said. In handsome new clothes? What a fine dream this is turning out to be. Call me a dream, eh? Mafu slapped his large, solid belly. Here's reality, well stuffed. I've got back better than I've lost. You're awake, be sure of that. Moxa came to the bedside. If you're dreaming, what do you say to this? He held up something in front of Jen. Go on, touch it, see for yourself. It was the king, shattered. I cracked it open, Moxa said proudly. Good thing no one saw me, or we'd all have been in trouble. Jen took the collar in his hands. He passed his fingers over the splintered wood and broken bolts. He looked up at Mafu and Moxa. No dream, Jen murmured. I'm free of it. For the first time since he had worn the collar, he wept with joy. You'll tell us later how you got yourself into such a plight. Mafu gently put a hand on Jen's shoulder. The main thing is that you're out. Give that monstrosity here. I'll get rid of it now. I'll keep it, Jen said. If I ever wonder if this is still a dream, all I need to do is look at it and at the two of you. My dear friends, how did you find me? And where am I? Specifically, the mad robber said, we found you in a mud puddle. Generally, you're in Nang Pei, at the best inn available. You'll be pleased to know. You've been sick a good while. We've had doctors coming and going, stuffing pills and potions down your gullet, and servants feeding you between times. You are far gone. We feared you mightn't come back. We've been trying to catch up with you for months, asked Mafu. We've lost track of you at the beginning of winter. Moxa picked up your trail again a few weeks ago. By the ear of continual attentiveness, exclaimed the mad robber. It never fails. Talk, rumors, gossip, some grateful villagers in a backwater called Ping-Er remember you well. If only we found you before this. We did the best we could, Mafu said. I and this skinny madman, he added with an affectionate grin at Moxa, got swept beyond the mouth of the low, almost out to sea. We hung on for dear life to what was left of the boat. It took some doing to paddle back. We must have saved each other's life half a dozen times. We made shore at last and started upriver on foot. We sheltered in a fisherman's hut. He told us about a young fellow, we guessed it was you, who might have headed for Chen Ye. No sign of you there, Moxa put in, but the ear of continual attentiveness. Heard of a flute girl who'd been at the Golden Grasshopper long before. We talked to the proprietor, a disagreeable creature, and got nothing from him, Jen said bitterly. On the contrary, Moxa said, we've got a great deal. On the feet of stealthy silence, I went back that night and robbed him. At last, a perfect client. Not one of the precepts of honorable robbery applied to him. I had no compunction whatever. In fact, I enjoyed it. Better yet, the villain's cash was the foundation of our fortune. Of course, if you look closely enough, most fortunes have robbery of one sort or another at the bottom. With Master Hong's money, we bought a carriage and a pair of horses, Mafu said. We thought that would be quicker than tramping through the countryside. We bought new clothes, too. No use rousing suspicion that we were vagrants. In fact, we looked so prosperous and substantial that I was able to do a little business here and there. For a while, we had a finger in the dumpling trade, with a handsome return on the investment. Trying to follow you from one place to another, we bought bolts of cloth, pots, pans, and such, and sold them at an excellent profit. Had we kept on, we'd have made our fortunes a couple times over. So just as a little side note, remember that in ancient China, there was something called the Spice Road, and there were trade routes where merchants started to become very popular and profitable by selling their wares that they had for sale. And so that's being brought in now with Mafu and Moxa starting to sell things along those trade routes. So that's how they got very rich from being profitable on the trade route. It's mostly thanks to this long-legged lunatic, Mafu continued. He turned out to be a better businessman than he ever was a robber. It's the eye of discerning perception, Moxa said, beaming proudly, and the nose of thoughtful inhalations. They served me well in ferreting out lucrative enterprises. I'm thinking seriously of giving up robbery and becoming a merchant. In business, there are no precepts whatever to inconvenience you. You pair of rascals, Jen burst out laughing. To think I was ready to give you up for drowned. I wish I'd done as well as the two of you. As for me, Jen said, after telling what had befallen him, the gifts for Yuan Ming are gone. Voyaging Moon may still have the flute. Whether she does or doesn't makes no difference. All I want is to find her. With the three of us together now, we can surely do that. Don't think we haven't tried, Mafu said. We searched for her as hard as we searched for you. She was here in Ningpei until winter. We talked to the theater director. He couldn't help us. He had no idea where she went. Then we'll keep looking, Jen said. I'll need clothes to begin with. You have a carriage and horses? We can start off today. Well, that won't be possible, Mafu said. Why not? Returned to Jen. What's to stop us? We'll not give up searching, Mafu said, but it must be put off a while. Before that, you must go to Chang'an as quickly as possible. Remember that Chang'an is the celestial palace where Prince Jen was from originally. What? Exclaimed Jen. No, I see no use. My plump friend is correct, put in Moxa. The heart of sentimental sympathy grieves for you. The voice of stern practicality tells me you must do as he says. Jen looked from Moxa to Mafu. I don't understand. Mafu's face was grave. We heard of this a short while ago. Your honored father fell ill soon after you left the celestial palace. At the end of last week, the worthy man joined his honorable ancestors. My father is dead? Jen gave an anguished cry. And I not with him. Not true, no. Alas, it is. Mafu said quietly. You are no longer Lord Prince. You are King of Tang. From wretched prisoner to King of Tang? What will Jen do in these new circumstances? What of his beloved voyaging moon? This and more is told in the following chapter. So, I will be putting up a Flipgrid response. So, if you can listen to this chapter being read and then respond back in a video, because I truly miss seeing your faces and I would love to see your faces in your video response. I will be asking a question about chapter 27. I'll label it chapter 27 video question. And I hope that you have a lovely afternoon. I'm reminding you that if you do have questions as you're working on your independent study packet, do email me or have your parents email me, and I will be able to post some tutorials. Other than that, we'll say goodbye from the lake. There's the lake. You can see it in the background a little bit, hopefully. Kind of. There it is. Okay, have a lovely afternoon, and I will be back on again to read another chapter for tomorrow. Take care. Bye.